Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Egypt's last leader before the Arab Spring Revolution has died. Hosni Mubarak was ousted in the uprising and passed away aged 91 on Tuesday. Also, as Algeria confirms the continent's only current case of coronavirus, the families of Africans quarantined in the Chinese city at the heart of the global outbreak are increasingly worried about the fate of their loved ones. And WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, the wonders of social media marketing at the heart of Lagos's Social Media Week. We hear from some of the Nigerian business people whose enterprises are going from strength to strength with a bit of online savoir-faire. We take a closer look to find out how they do it. But first, Egypt's former president, Hosni Mubarak, has died. He was 91. He'd ruled for 30 years when he was forced from power in the Arab Spring uprising in 2011. Yana Lee has more.
For 3 decades, he was Egypt's strongman, but it took just 18 days of protests to topple Hosni Mubarak.
President Hosni Mubarak has decided to step down as head of state and to entrust the affairs of state to the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces.
Hosni Mubarak was Egypt's longest-serving president. In his time in power, he came to be regarded as a key regional ally by the West, despite his authoritarian rule. Born in 1928, Hosni Mubarak was first and foremost a military man. Having served as Minister of Defense, he was promoted to Air Marshal for his distinguished record during the Yom Kippur War. The war hero became president after the assassination of Anwar Sadat in 1981, a leader who had signed a controversial peace treaty with his Israeli counterpart. For much of Mubarak's first decade in power, Egypt remained suspended from the Arab League. His continued engagement with Israel angered many at home and abroad. But the strategy won praise from the United States and also put Mubarak in prime position to assume the role of key negotiator in the neighboring conflict.
This new phase needs to be the phase of peace, to bring about total peace and create an independent Palestinian state.
While in office, Mubarak actively clamped down on Islamist movements and imposed a state of emergency. His stance earned him vital support from the US. Washington sent over $1 billion a year to Cairo in military aid. While receiving Western support, Mubarak continued to be accused of human rights abuses, muzzling the press and stifling the opposition. Over the years, he was re-elected 4 times. On 3 occasions, he ran unopposed. Along with his autocratic rule, it was persistent poverty and anger at entrenched corruption that brought hundreds of thousands of demonstrators onto the streets in early 2011. At first, the president remained defiant.
This great nation is my homeland. I have lived in it, I fought for it and defended its soil, sovereignty and interests. On its soil I will die. History will judge me and all of us.
His judicial reckoning came sooner rather than later. Shortly after his resignation, Egypt held its first democratic election. Mohamed Morsi became president and Mubarak was tried, accused of complicity in killing hundreds of protesters. On June 2, 2012, he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. But a year later, military rule returned when another top military figure, General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, overthrew Morsi. In 2017, Hosni Mubarak was acquitted on appeal. He walked free after 6 years behind bars. Mubarak's last years were split between his seaside villa in Sharm el-Sheikh and a military hospital in Cairo.
Well, Algeria has confirmed its first case of coronavirus. It's currently the only officially recorded incident of the disease on the continent. An Italian man who reportedly arrived in the country on the 17th is currently in quarantine. Before him, there has, thankfully, so far only been one other confirmed case of coronavirus in Africa. But absence of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence, as testing efforts on the African continent have not been strict. The illness has caused at least 2,711 deaths worldwide and seen the Chinese city at the heart of the outbreak completely shut down. It's been a time of uncertainty for the families of Africans stuck in Wuhan. Wasim Cornet has more.
It's become a daily routine for Margaret Namusisi. This Ugandan mother has 3 daughters. All 3 are currently stranded in Wuhan.
So generally, how are you feeling? What do you do when you wake up? What do you do?
When her daughters told her their university had been quarantined, Namusisi sent them money and told them to shop for food. But that was 1 month ago. They remain under lockdown with orders to stay indoors with the windows closed. Food, money, and morale are running low.
Our girls cry, our children cry every day. The prices of goods have escalated because of low supplies. Our plea is to the head of the state, Mr. Museveni, help us evacuate our children.
Earlier this month, the Ugandan government said it would send $60,000 to stranded students, but also said it did not have the resources to bring them home. It's a similar situation in Cameroon. Pavel Kemsenu is the only African citizen known to have contracted coronavirus in China. He has since recovered, but his parents only found out about their son's condition thanks to a document sent out by the university he is studying at.
I thought he was invincible. He never had any serious problems. That is why I was worried. I don't doubt what he says, that he is cured. I don't doubt it, but I don't think I'll be able to sleep like I used to.
Meanwhile, several countries, including Cameroon, are preparing for possible cases on African soil. The state hospitals in Yaoundé and Douala have already set up isolation wards.
Look now at some other news. Cameroon's Constitutional Court is annulling the results of legislative elections held in some of the country's English-speaking regions earlier this month. The vote will be rerun in Lebialem in the southwest and 10 other constituencies in the northwest. The areas have been hit by deadly violence linked to an Anglophone insurgency in the country. Turnout across Cameroon had been low amongst voters in the English-speaking regions because of threats from armed separatists and a boycott called by opposition parties. Official results from any of the February 9th polls still haven't been released. Malawi is likely to head to the polls again on May 19th for new presidential elections. This month, the Constitutional Court's landmark decision to nullify last year's poll, which returned President Peter Mutharika to power. The court found that the exercise was riddled with irregularities. Parliament has recommended that the Electoral Commission be replaced. Zimbabwe has been banned from hosting international football games because of its shoddy stadiums. The Confederation of African Football had inspected the sites last year and ordered them to be spruced up, but that did not happen. Zimbabwe was supposed to host defending champion Algeria next month in the African Cup of Nations qualifier. It will now have to find alternative venues in neighbouring countries. The Zimbabwe Football Association does not own the country's stadiums and is asking the government for funding to overhaul the rundown venues. Now in Lagos, Social Media Week is in full swing. Nigerian businesses are increasingly relying on online platforms and marketing. It is creating a niche that could help boost the economy and encourage diversification away from Nigeria's heavy dependence on oil and gas. Our team sent us this report.
Everybody ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Gina sells food via WhatsApp and Instagram. Her target customers often don't have time to cook at home because they lose hours stuck in Lagos traffic on their daily commute. Her presence on social media earns her about €300 a day.
Social media is a way for me to understand my brand. It helped me understand my brand. So I know exactly how to connect to these people, what they want, and what I should give them. Yeah.
Digital business is estimated to contribute 7 to 10% of Nigeria's GDP. Nelly belongs to a new generation of entrepreneurs who maximize online space. She organizes intensive training through 2 WhatsApp groups and has about 500 students who pay €40 each for her video tutorials on how to sell using social networks.
You don't need followers
for you to make it on Instagram or for you to be an influencer on Instagram. You just need to have the right niche, the right market, the right people who understand you. And that is why, and you cannot be for everybody.
Wally Agba started his career by posting videos online. Today, he has about 2.5 million subscribers who enjoy his comedy in Yoruba.
The more we have been able to grow our fan base has given us the privilege of having the contracts from some different firms that want us to pass information across to the whole world.
The world's biggest social network companies all have offices in Lagos. Nigeria is also experiencing a telecoms boom. An estimated 184 million SIM cards were activated in 2019, a sign that connectivity is increasingly important to the professional and personal lives of Nigerians.
And Netflix has flicked the switch on its first original African series. Queen Sono is a South African spy drama rooted in local culture, but hoping to branch out to mainstream appeal. Take a look.
I want to know everything about that woman.
She needs help.
You know, when Queen is around, anything can happen.
Well, you might have recognised Pearl Thusi there from ABC's Quantico if you watch it. She is a main character who's investigating the mysterious death of her mother. The show spans the African continent and showcases a number of different dialects, cultures and communities. It has, though, had some mixed reviews from critics, but you can make up your own mind. It drops on Netflix on the 28th, which is this Thursday. Tell us what you think. Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.